Hi, today I'm going to give you a brief overview of the history of essential oils. I'm going to be using this Essential Oils Pocket Reference Book. It's a very good reference book. I recommend everybody have it. Now, essential oils, we discovered yesterday, is the aromatic volatile part of a plant that gives it its healing properties, and then we can use a lot of it into our bodies because it's nature and we're nature. Now, we can discover through our history books that the earliest written discovery of essential oils goes back to about 4,500 years before Christ. You'll find that the Egyptians were very detailed in their hieroglyphics on how they used essential oils, when they used essential oils, what kind of recipes that they would come up with, their medicinal purposes, their aromatic purposes, even when they were embalming their bodies, when they were cleansing different areas, they was all documented. There was a tomb that was discovered in 1922, I believe. It was King Tut's tomb. And when they discovered the tomb, they found over 50 alabaster jars of essential oils. And what was interesting to note that in those oils, there were 350 different oils found, and yet the robbers who robbed the tomb, they left a lot of the gold and a lot of the riches, and they took the oils and they left just some of the remnants with inside the oils behind, which tells you that they found that a lot more valuable than the gold that was within the tombs, which is really interesting. Also interesting to note, because the Egyptians knew very well how to distill essential oils and make them properly, the same healing properties that were created over 3,000 years ago when they created that essential oil was still present in these essential oils that were discovered, which emphasizes the point that if you have a quality essential oil and it is distilled properly, it should not have an expiration date. So if you have an expiration date on an essential oil, you have to ask yourself why. Often, a lot of the essential oils on the market today do have an expiration date, and it's usually because there are other ingredients added to that particular oil. So it may not necessarily be the essential oil that will go bad or rancid as much as the other ingredients, and or it could be that essential oil if it was not distilled properly. You can also discover in the history books there was a temple, the Temple Edfu. This one had a room that they were able to excavate, and this one was one of the ones that had very detailed account of the essential oils, and that one was over 3,000 years old also. You'll find also the Romans were very big with essential oils. A lot of time they would use them to even uh, create that feeling of wellness in some of the political offices. A lot of their Roman baths had essential oils. They were very big in invigorating the body and being very proactive with their medicines. When you get to the Bible, you will find that there are over 200 references in the Bible with essential oils. One of the more common ones is the holy anointing oil, the prescription, if you will, given by God, included the holy oil of myrrh, cinnamon, calamus, cassia, and olive oil, and that can be found in the book of Exodus. If you also look at what the scriptures say on how they were supposed to cleanse the altar in the temple, there was a specific list of oils. And if you study those specific list of oils, you'll discover that each of those oils have huge antibacterial, antifungal properties, which was definitely needed if you were slaughtering animals um, for your sacrifices. You want to make sure those oils are nice and clean, or else you can't heal the people if you have some sort of weird diseases going on, dysentery going on there. Another reference in the Bible that gives you an insight to the culture is Psalms 133:2, and it says, "Let thy garments always be white, and let thy head lack no anointment," which kind of tells you that in the days of biblical times, success was if your garments were clean and white, and if you had anointed oils around you, because they knew that if you had oils, you were most likely going to have good health, you were going to have good emotions, and you were blessed. Because oils were expensive then as they are today. There is a huge process involved in making them. And that's pretty exciting to me anyways. Now, oils, essential oils, pretty much are used in three different schools of thought. You have the English, which is a little bit more prudish in their essential oils when they were teaching it. They'll teach more of a mix it with an olive oil or such, and then put just 1 or 2 drops and use it more for relaxation. Whereas the French, on the other hand, they're very more aggressive. They will take the oils neat, which means undiluted, and just put it directly on the skin or wherever, and they will even ingest them. Now, it's really important to know that you can only ingest an essential oil that has been distilled properly, and you know that there's no other adulterated properties within it, because you don't want to get sick off of it. You can get really, really sick. And you never want to do that. Young Living oils are very pure, so unless it says don't ingest, you probably can get away with ingesting them. You can get away with putting them on your body neat. I personally like to mix it with the olive oil just because it can go further on the body. I can spread it further, but I've been known to do all three. And then the last school of thought would be the Germans. The Germans did a lot of research, and they were the ones that really delved into the aromatic benefits of essential oils, how they can, when you're smelling it, it can trigger that part of the brain that handles all your emotions, and that part of emotions will affect your blood pressure, your stress level, your hormones, and different areas like that, which in turn connects with your immune system. So if one wanted to use essential oils, you'd recommend using all three of those schools of thought, and then maybe combine them with different techniques called the VitaFlex techniques, or maybe acupuncture, or Young Living puts together a technique called raindrop, which is often used in order to put a series of oils that work very good together on the feet, and then use VitaFlex points by just kind of rolling the fingers in and just giving kind of an electrical charge. It'll push it up through the body, and then they'll take the same list of oils and drop it along the backbone. While it's dropping onto the backbone, it's picking up an energetic charge and then going onto the backbone, just giving it a little more oomph. The essential oils are going to do what they're going to do, but you can give it a little boost with your application. So, and this was even done by the Indians. A lot of the Native American Indians up in the Alaska area, they were pretty much the ones that were the foundation of the raindrop technique that Gary Young put together. They would do this a lot of times and use feathers to run the oils up and down somebody's back. It's just a way of emphasizing the way they're applied to the body. So if you go through, I spoke about the Egyptians, I talked about the Romans, I talked about the Bibles, but now modern day uses, you'll discover back in World War I, a French doctor who was very aggressive in using essential oils during the war, trying to disinfect the areas where he was treating his patients. He was using it for wound management. From there, people started getting more interested. The French were really the first to sit down and rediscover essential oils, if you will, and document it. in 1990, I believe, let me just check my notes. 1990, two French doctors got together and listed over 270 essential oils and gave their chemical compounds and uses in clinical studies. One of those doctors that put that together was one of the ones that Gary Young, the founder of Young Living, studied alongside. So you know that when we're learning and using the oils from Young Living, you're going to get a process and an oil straight from some of the best teachers. Also in the Bible, two other points in the Bible that I'd like to bring up is the birth of Christ. I love to tell people of frankincense. If it's good enough for a king to give to a king, it's good enough for me to give to my family. I do have frankincense in my house. I use it almost daily. I love it. Love, love, love it. Can't emphasize enough. It's known as one of the oils that has the most healing powers. Throughout history, different cultures would even guard it as more valuable than gold. In fact, the country of Oman still has it on high regard, and Young Living is the only oil company who can say that it has received legal permission to take frankincense out of their country with the president's permission. A lot of times oil companies will send it through Oman and say that it was from Oman, but it hasn't really been grown in Oman. Only Young Living has that permission. And one of the ways we were given that permission is that the majority of the workers in that particular farm are Oman workers. So it was a business deal that was done. The other point, the other oil was myrrh. That's another oil that I have in my house. It has a lot of healing properties. A lot of times in biblical times, frankincense and myrrh were used during the birth process to help the mother heal, to help the baby heal, and then throughout the baby's life. So it's not surprising that they gave that to the baby Jesus, especially the king. And then later on in Jesus' life, we read the story of Mary anointing Jesus with spikenard. That was an oil that was highly regarded during biblical times. Women would hold on to this until their wedding day because it was very costly. It did require life savings in order to obtain, and it was usually given as a gift. So when Mary poured that all over Jesus' feet, she might have known the value of it. It was symbolically her way of saying, I'm giving everything to you, as though a bride would give to a husband, just giving it all. That's why people were so surprised why she was doing this, because she wasn't marrying Jesus, and yet she was giving her very best to Jesus. Also, spikenard is known for its healing properties as well, and here he was about to be crucified, so his feet really did need the benefits of spikenard. So again, in the 20th century, that's when essential oils were coming back into play. And over the past few years, you've heard a lot more about essential oils. And now you know why, because years ago, this is what societies used to use and had really great benefits, and now we're going back to that. So I hope you enjoyed this. Please leave me comments, ask me questions, give me some homework, force me to do some more research. Thank you for watching. I look forward to talking with you again tomorrow.